right, let's get this show started. I'm going to do a quick Bitcoin market update. Just Bitcoin today. All right, so let's get this party started. Hello and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner. I am Dr. Crypto Landy. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin spot price action today. So thank you for hanging out with me, and let's get this rolling. We've got a little bit to talk about here. You can see that right off the bat here, we can see Bitcoin has ran from the second standard deviation on the Bollinger Bands to the downside here, all the way to the second standard deviation to the upside here, and actually trying to close in between, or trying to push in between the second and third standard deviation zone there in the reddish area. So in this case, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but if it does close above that second standard deviation inside that zone by the end of today, I'd be looking for continuation to about 25.5, possibly $26,000. So we can see that we're also above the VWAP here, and this is technically an ATR. It's a VWAP ATR, so and that's sitting all the way at 22, about 22.5, a little less than 22.5. We can see that daily Stoke has turned up. DMI is green. Strength of trend is up. That's your ADX. So price to maintain, this upside momentum from the daily perspective, 21,768. So 21,770, closing above there, which we are trading substantially above right now. And we're going to be getting continuation on this. So when looking at something like a 2-day, which just closed, see that we got an initial cross back up on Stoke here, 24,340 or so, to keep that 2-day, or turn that 2-day back up in the next 2-day candle here. 3-day, we've got closing at the same time as the next 2-day candle. $24,000 is going to be that number. And then the 5-day, 24,342. The momentum pivot's kind of right on top of price action here, but I do suspect if the next 5-day is closed above for the momentum pivot, we will see a fully confirmed cross back to the upside here. It's only an initial cross to the downside anyway. Looks like the weekly at this point above $22,000, looking like continuation. So looks good. Let's go ahead and look at some of the momentum pivots down the time frames here. 22K for the 12-hour. 8-hour getting up there, about 23,431 here. 6-hour, we're looking at 24,263, so right in the zone that we're in. And the 4-hour, I suspect, is very close to price action, 24,544. 3-hour, also up there, 24,500. Under there, these start turning down. But I do think they're going to get some bullish resets based on the 12-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour daily time frame. So 24,762. And then we've got 24,715 as the momentum pivot for the daily, or the hourly rather. So the daily is going to be the one to watch here. When the daily, 2-day, 3-day, 5-day are all back overbought and then do start to turn and cool down, then we start looking for a little bit of a mean reversion play. In this case, BBWP, we ran the bottom side, closed outside of the second standard deviation after passing below the 20 simple in the first standard deviation, closed below the second, tapping on the third. And that got the BBWP expansion from, it's about 10 percentile region. And then we just ran it the other way, keeping volatility high, bouncing off of the moving average here. That's why it's really important when looking at BBWP that you wait for the moving average to confirm whether or not a move is going to continue in a specific direction. In many cases, this can help get rid of signals that are not accurate, or at least give you the bias that, if BBWP on that downside move, or that, or on the initial upside move here, didn't actually cross back over. But we were closing above the first standard deviation. This was something that I had told you guys about yesterday. Prior to this big candle here, is close above the first standard deviation. Targets are going to be 23.5, close above 23.5. We're going to keep the volatility really high, and then we're going to have the opportunity to run the highs. We have, did we close above the wick high? Did we close above the wick high here? Let's get rid of some of these. Where is this coming from? I think this is coming from an indicator down lower when I was doing some back testing. Let's get rid of the trend-based fib, although that is going to be something that I'm going to look at here in a moment on lower term time frames. For just a moment. In a moment. For a moment. In just a moment. Jeez. What was I looking for? Let's go ahead and do the horizontal ray here. We did close above the high, so this implies higher targets. Obviously, throwing a wick around or even a closure up there by the third standard deviation at 25,500 or so, it's going to be in and around our highs of the range. So you can see that I would expect a test up there in today's candle. If we don't see that, subsequently kind of looking for the next couple of days to see what price action does. It is, up in this area, it is going to create quite a bit of bearish divergence. As I said yesterday, all the way on the daily, I think till we're looking at 32. This could run all the way to the bull critical zone at about just shy of $28,000. It will get bearish divergence. It can run all the way to the user alert high, which is about $31,000, $32,000, and that's only this yellow line. It'll still get bearish divergence. So realistically, we're probably looking for a longer form consolidation at some point here, maybe even a daily reversal. We did have a trend break on the daily and a little bit of a downtrend going. We had our lower high and trend break all in one candle with a lower low. But then we just came back and trend broke it to the upside here. So wherever it does put in a high, now we're looking for, between this low and this high, looking for where that, right, first the buy should be to look for a higher low. If we do end up trend breaking again, we're probably looking at a longer form consolidation before a much larger move, and we'll determine the direction at that point when the time is right. For right now, this is a move in progress. Looks pretty good. When going down to lower term time frames here, you'll see that I do have a trend-based fib pulled. And we've got basically from the lows, this would be the lower low to the higher high of this range to the higher low. So where are we? When we stopped shortly there on the hourly at the 100% fib, and then just kind of rocketed up, above that 23,000. We started to hit all of the stops and probably liquidations for the short side. And then that pretty much brought us all the way back to the highs. Shot through basically, above the one spot all the way through the two spot. And now are sitting just above the 2618 here. So I would say, kind of where this is lining up, we are looking around that 3618 area as being the target. 3272 is actually lining up exactly with the highs of the range here at, it's about $2 less at 25,212. So that is the next logical area above about, 24,950 in this case, but $25,000. We're definitely running that high, probably higher. So, this is an hourly based fib, so this could, chop around, come down here at about 24,250, basically above $24,000. I think things look pretty good. If we do see things starting to close anywhere below like 23.5, that's where, things get a little bit dicey. It would be kind of like a short trap to a long trap, or a bear trap down here to a bull trap up here. Not necessarily looking for that right now, but beware that we are closing in the third standard deviation on many time frames now, and it's rare to see things close in the third standard deviation for very long, obviously because the Bollinger Bands expand. But we rarely see it before some sort of a consolidation. So if we do see this, for instance, on the 4 hour here, there's plenty of room between the last low, and you can call this support down here at around 22,350 or so. I still wouldn't even want to see price. I don't want to see price back below 23.5 basically. This is kind of the same area that I called out last time when we broke back down to the lows. And realistically, we're kind of in just a pretty large range with good volatility. This is what we want as traders. So don't get your don't get your hopes up for too high or too low. Just trade the price action in front of you and kind of take it from there. Let's look at CME real quick, and then I am going to wrap this up. I'll do a little bit more detail analysis tomorrow and Friday. But we're looking at daily running right above the second standard deviation, looking for these highs up here. So we're looking for this high along with the wick lows over here. There is some other resistance in this area on the CME chart. When evaluating this, we're going for this high. We're going to probably swing the highs of the range. CME is already above its second standard deviation, could very easily push the third standard deviation. This is a nice little compression here. We see that we didn't do the same thing on CME that we did on spot. And in this case, CME closed above the first standard deviation. This is kind of what I was talking about coming into yesterday's candle. And of course, closed above that first standard deviation, and it was ride it right back to the highs and then higher. And that's exactly what we spoke about yesterday. So we have also seen a full turn on the Stoke here on CME. 22,304 is going to be the number to turn that back down. 12 hours up above 21,720 looks pretty good on momentum. Through all of the daily 12-hour, 8-hour, probably even the 6 hours still up. 22,615. I think all time frames are going to be up on CME. Yeah, 6 hour 23.44. And then the big one's going to be watching the 4 hour here, 24,538. So this is going to be kind of the one to watch. And then that's where we look for, okay, at the maximum downside that I'd like to see for Bitcoin in order to not just kind of run back around those lows, around the lower 23s, upper 22s, would be if Bitcoin gets a pullback from this area before heading up further. I don't want to see anything below 23.5. I do think that starts to change the picture around, not just for some of these other time frames. Yes, the daily would still be up, stuff like that, but then the 2-day, 3-day, and 5-day are going to be something that we need to watch, keep an eye on, especially because the 5 days momentum pivots around 22,721. Just to give you an idea of where that would be back in and around between the second standard deviation and the first standard deviation. But for the 5-day, that would be below the open of the last 5-day candle. Don't really want to see that. That would be a big wick into what was already a confirmed high on divergence. And then just kind of fought it off like it was nothing, which is good. I think the weekly as well. Yeah, just big nothing burger on the continuation drive there. Just a little bit of mean reversion back to the first standard deviation and then on to the upside again. So coming into Friday, we will have to keep an eye on the weekly and what that updates to for CME. And obviously, I do think we're going to be closing above there unless we have like a Wednesday into Thursday reversal in all major markets, which, is possible. But from what I'm seeing, based on the bull band setup, based on the momentum setup, based on the ATR. Everything else that I'm seeing here is saying up. I'd be looking for a swing of the highs, probably short-term pullbacks from there, and then kind of evaluate, see where the 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour comes in. And when I say short-term swing of the highs, it could go higher than the range highs here. And if it does and starts closing outside of the range highs, that's where we look for much deeper targets. And those targets are going to be, you know, around the third standard deviation to the upside for the 5-day. You know, looking at those same kind of areas that I showed you on RSI, like about $28,000 to $30,000. On CME, that's also a daily gap fill. Yes, right here. So actually, let me turn off all. That's where the gap fill would be. I'm sorry, the gap fill's down here. Although there is the potential then to run that range to that particular range and dig into that range. You know, we got to get out of this current range first. So one step at a time. That is going to do it for today. I am still experimenting with my setup. I think I got multi-stream going. I'm not going to know until after the fact. So I will wish you guys a good morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you're in the world. Please, of course, trade safe. And as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, well, Landy out.